The opening of the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macao Bridge, the world's longest sea bridge spanning China's Greater Bay Area. What the bridge means for business, right after this break. Welcome back to watching World Inside. I'm Tian Wei. The first crossing ceremony of the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macao Bridge took place this morning on Tuesday. Construction began in 2009 with the world's longest sea bridge connecting the Greater Bay Area. Businesses are eyeing for the opportunities it could bring. Before we start our discussion, take a look at this.
I declare the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macao Bridge is now officially open.
Travel time around the Greater Bay Area is about to change. Before the opening of the bridge, it would take around 4 hours to travel from Hong Kong to Zhuhai on land, and commuting between Hong Kong and Macau relies mainly on slow and weather-dependent ferry transport. With the bridge, it is expected to cut the travel time between either of the two cities down to about an hour.
It creates a 3-hour commuting radius from Hong Kong to mainland China. With the high-speed rail and with this bridge, we are able to live in mainland China and work in Hong Kong.
55 kilometers long in total, the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macao Bridge is the world's longest sea bridge, costing over $18 billion. The bridge has an estimated service life of 120 years. Most people in the Greater Bay Area look to the opportunities the new bridge can bring, among other things, a boost on tourism.
Now at this point in time, we're about 8% up compared to the year before. So we're looking at probably at the end of this year, 35 million visitors.
The bridge is an integral part of China's ambitious plan to create a more integrated Greater Bay Area. With a combined population of around 70 million and an economy of over $1.5 trillion, it is one of the most economically vibrant regions in the world. The new bridge is expected to significantly improve economic integration across the region.
For more about that, joining us in Beijing studio, Stephen Phillips, Director General of Invest Hong Kong. Stephen, welcome to CGTN studio.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
Good to see you. That bridge, wow. 55 kilometers long, very impressive, $20 billion. What would that mean for you and the thing that you are trying to do to attract as many to invest in Hong Kong as possible?
Well, I think the bridge is a really key piece of infrastructure that is opening up new commercial opportunities, both within Hong Kong to Macau and within the wider Greater Bay Area. But the bridge is also supplemented by the high-speed rail link from Hong Kong to Shenzhen, then on to Guangzhou, and then connecting with the high-speed rail network across the country. So it's a really exciting time commercially to see this region opening up, connecting the 11 cities in the Greater Bay Area. Right. All will be within roughly 1 hour's travelling distance from each other.
How significant is it, Stephen, commercially particularly? Yeah. I guess you are already touching on that. This Delta area for you, for what you are doing to attract investors into Hong Kong?
Yeah, I think it's probably the issue that is catching the imagination of the companies that we're talking to around the world in a way that is incredibly exciting. They see a population close to 70 million people. With the highest GDP per capita.
Of the UK.
Exactly the size of the UK, and the GDP already equivalent to Korea or Australia. So it's a very significant market already. But it's also got some phenomenal ingredients there. You've got the traditional strengths of Hong Kong as an international financial services centre. You've got the innovation taking place in Shenzhen and in wider Guangdong, and Hong Kong's own plans around innovation. Right. It's really going to make this part of the world, I think, one of the fastest growing clusters at a global level.
We have to admit, that things have been changing while this bridge is being built, right? You see geopolitical changes, you see debates about globalization, you see China's debates with some of the other countries when it comes to trade and when it comes to several other issues. So will this bridge still be as 100% or even more in a way helping to link Hong Kong and the mainland and helping to bring vibrancy into the region? Is that a question mark in your mind?
I don't think it's a question mark at all. Actually, I think there's quite a lot of uncertainty in the global commercial landscape. But what we see taking place in southern China with this integration of the cities is really happening now. The physical infrastructure is now in place. It's open today. The high-speed rail opened a few weeks ago. The business will follow. And we're already seeing companies actively looking at thinking about their strategy for the whole region, rather than looking at things on an isolated, piecemeal basis.
What does that mean when companies are trying to readjust in a way also to take advantage of both the rail and also the train? What does that mean from your perspective, the things that they have to think about right now?
Well, I think for us, representing the Hong Kong government, we have to be able to talk much more coherently about a much bigger landscape. But it also means that we have to work very closely with our counterparts in the cities in Guangdong.
That's right.
And work out actually how Hong Kong can be a complement to what companies will be doing in Zhongshan or Zhuhai or in Guangzhou.
If you look at the rise of these cities, first tier like Guangzhou and Shenzhen, second tier, third tier, even fourth tier cities now in the Delta region, that means Hong Kong is facing quite stiff competition coming from many of those different county cities from the mainland. On the one hand, it is cooperation, but on the other hand, it is competition as well, particularly if you have the efficiency as the rail and also the bridge has already created. What about that?
Well, you're absolutely right. With a partner city, in the morning we can be a competitor, in the afternoon we can be a collaborator. And that won't change. That is the inevitability of looking to attract investment into a particular city. And we have, as Hong Kong, competition not only from nearby cities, but cities across the world. So we're used to competition. And in Hong Kong, we have the confidence that the environment is so good and that the potential is so great. When we look at Hong Kong, we look at Hong Kong in the context of China and then Hong Kong in the context of Asia, that there's a compelling business case for more companies to invest.
When you talk about confidence, it's very important that we look at Hong Kong, the advantages and the challenges it faces. Will Hong Kong be able to take great advantage of its plus, which is about financing, which is about more interconnected with the rest of the world, which is about standards, which is about rule of law, compared to what it has to catch up, which is the efficiency of decision making. Can they be able to do both?
Yes. If you look at the policy address given by our Chief Executive, Carrie Lam, just a few weeks ago, she's taken, along with her colleagues in the rest of government, some very bold decisions on the future of Hong Kong in terms of investment into education, investment into healthcare, investment into land supply, which is a critical social issue in Hong Kong. So these big issues that need to be addressed are being addressed by the government right now.
But the plan is the plan, how to implement the plan, and during this process of implementing the plan, is there going to be efficiency? That's what the investors are looking for. That's what the investors are interested in.
Yeah. Well, what I can say is that as part of government, I know that we're working full steam ahead to see these plans turn into reality. So there's a lot of great work going on. And I know from the investors that we're talking to that they're seeing that reality.
Another thing is, if you look at the innovation, which has been a key word you mentioned repeatedly, also one of your major job descriptions to create and promote innovation with more investment in Hong Kong. So Hong Kong used to be a financial center. How to make that transition is also an interesting question.
Yeah.
Well, you have so much competition and actually much more matured investment and environment in those countries and cities already.
Absolutely. But I think, again, the government has decided to tackle head-on the whole innovation agenda. There's a recognition that Hong Kong has some catching up to do. So there are 4 areas in particular where Hong Kong wants to excel: in AI and robotics, in fintech, in smart cities, and in biotech. And the government is taking some bold steps, particularly in AI and biotech, both to create international clusters of academic excellence, so international academics working with Hong Kong academics to do fundamental research, and then commercialization sitting alongside that. And then with smart cities, a great opportunity.
Absolutely.
Such a highly densely populated city, and the economics of rolling out new technology for smart cities initiatives should be very good.
There has been a transitional period of time of economy here on the mainland. Hong Kong, so closely linked to the economic development of the mainland, certainly is feeling the temperature of that as well. When you are talking about investment, there seems to be a streamline of companies these days that want to stay safe and they want to stay intact before they see more opportunities comes up. So how would you be able to persuade them and many others to continue to invest, even though they are seeing global uncertainties, even though they are seeing a transitional period of time for the Chinese economy as well? Stephen?
Well, I think you're right. I think companies are obviously looking very carefully at how geopolitical issues are playing out. But that is the people very focused on trade.
But also the transitional period of the Chinese economy as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, clearly China is going through a very rapid period of change, and to a degree some consolidation as well. And companies are looking very carefully at how that's happening. But when we're talking to international and mainland investors, they're looking at rather longer time horizons. So they're looking at the fundamentals of the Chinese economy, the fundamentals of the wider Asian regional economies, which in that midterm remain very positive. If we look at the demographics, they remain very strong, whether you're looking at China, whether you're looking at Indonesia, whether you're looking at Vietnam. And the fundamentals in that midterm are strong. So companies need to obviously deal with short-term issues, but they also need to be looking at growth opportunities in the future. So many of the people that we're talking to remain very upbeat about that longer-term outlook for the region, and they're planning ahead.
Well, I would take your argument, but at the same time, one of the important issues people look at is credits, debts, where the money come from. So if you look at credits, of course, Chinese economy has already been able to, in a way, create enormous amount of wealth, and certainly the sustainable possibility of investment. But at the same time, you do also notice, Stephen, that during this transition, many of the companies are taking what you call a wait-and-see attitude. Meanwhile, you also see debt issues. Some of the companies expand too fast within such a short period of time using commercial bank, probably preferable loans. And now, when there's a transition of the economy, certain things are getting much more difficult. So these are factors that are facing many of the companies that you are talking about. How do you see the short-term bumps? And what would that mean for your job?
Well, I think we talk to a very broad cross-section of companies. Some companies in, let's say, more traditional industries perhaps are facing more challenges as the economic landscape changes. Perhaps, as you say, some of them might be straddled with some debt issues. Whereas if you look at other sectors of the economy, which are growing very quickly, in innovation-led sectors, in fintech, in smart cities, in biotech, those companies don't actually have lack of access to capital, and they're growing very quickly. So it's a mixed picture overall. So I don't think you can draw a conclusion across the entire economy from saying that some companies are facing debt issues.
Right.
Some companies are facing their own transitional issues as they need to change their business models, adapt to a changing economy.
What a pleasure to see you here in Beijing, and certainly even better since we are meeting today. It's a big day for Hong Kong with that beautiful bridge being built right now. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, Wei.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
That is all the time we have for today. If you'd like to see more, try to find us World Insight CGTN into your search engine or check out our YouTube channel. Also follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Sina Weibo. From me, Tian Wei, and everyone on the World Insight team, thanks for watching. Tune in again next time for insights across China and around the world. Good night.